Imagine this. Someone dares to criticize you. They call you arrogant, lazy, dishonest. What do? The weak defend themselves. They argue. They crumble like wet paper. But Machiavelli would smile. He understood the darker law. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. For everyone can see, but few can feel. Judgment is not truth. Judgment is theater. It is not about you, it is about them. Stop defending against judgment. Start decoding it, because here is the brutal reality. What people condemn in you exposes what they cannot bear in themselves. The loudest critic of dishonesty, a liar choking on his own secrets, the one mocking your ambition, terrified of his own wasted potential. But here's the trap. The weak absorb judgment like poison. They swallow it. They believe the words. They let the lies metastasize into their bones. Machiavelli would never kneel to such theater. He would see it for what it is. Camouflage, a mask of insecurity, a projection of weakness. Look at your workplace, the colleague who sneers at your ambition. He quivers at being exposed as mediocre. The friend who scoffs at your discipline. She festers in her own lack of control. Machiavelli warned rulers that appearances deceive. Men judge more by what they see than by what is real. So when you are judged, remember this. You are not seeing truth. You are seeing a distorted mirror, a weapon disguised as morality. The man who mocks emotions fears drowning in his own. The one who shouts against dishonesty wrestles with his own lies. Every accusation is a confession in disguise. Look around you. Have you noticed? The loudest moralists rot with the darkest secrets. The men who scream about corruption, they drip with it. The woman who gossips about loyalty, she is the first to betray. So what would Machiavelli do? He would never ask, why did they say this about me? He would ask, what does this expose about them? He would interrogate his own mind as well. If he despised laziness, he would ask, am I haunted by my own idleness? If dishonesty enraged him, he would scan his own lies, and he would never waste judgment. He would weaponize it, because every condemnation is reconnaissance. Every insult is free intelligence delivered to your doorstep. Think of the examples. At work, your boss criticizes your lack of patience. Translation, he fears appearing weak for tolerating failure. In society, a politician obsessed with denouncing immorality, he's masking his own corruption. In relationships, a partner who endlessly accuses you of betrayal, they are wrestling with their own temptations. This is the maxim to brand into your mind. Every judgment is a mirror turned outward. Machiavelli would not defend. He would decode. He would archive. He would strike. So the next time someone condemns you, do not fight. Do not defend. Smile, decode, and whisper, thank you for revealing your weakness. Because in the Machiavellian world, judgment is not a threat. It is not a wound. It is free intelligence. And intelligence is the first weapon of domination. You've seen them. The people who never doubt, never bend, never apologize. The boss who always knows best. The friend who refuses to admit mistakes. At first, you might admire them. Their confidence feels like iron. But Machiavelli would whisper, do not trust the unshakable facade. Because the louder the performance of certainty, the more guilt corrodes within. That strength you envy? It is brittle, hollow, not born of power, but born of terror, the terror of being exposed. Think of the ruler who sins in secret. He knows his hands drip with filth. So what does he do? He stands taller. He shouts louder. He throws arrogance over his guilt like armor. But Machiavelli warned, avoid being despised and hated. Arrogance is not a shield. It is a spotlight. It magnifies guilt until the mob sees it and turns. Look at your world. That boss who never admits error, he hides a graveyard of failures. That colleague who insists she's always right. She trembles at being seen as a fool. That friend who brags of loyalty? She knows her betrayal is already in motion. Fake confidence is theater. Guilt is the script. And all theater collapses the moment the mask slips. So how do you pierce the mask? Machiavelli would test, probe, watch. Because arrogance is brittle glass. It shatters under pressure. Contradict them lightly and you'll see it. The nervous laugh, the sudden rage. The desperate defensiveness. Defensiveness is smoke. Guilt is the fire beneath. And what about you? Do you perform certainty to hide your cracks? Do you inflate yourself so no one sees the fracture? Machiavelli would sneer at the performance, because performance is weakness. Real strength whispers. It does not need to shout. Real power comes from quiet mastery, from the calm admission of error, from the unshakable confidence of one who does not fear exposure. So remember this maxim. Real confidence whispers, fake confidence screams. The louder the voice, the deeper the guilt. And Machiavelli would never trust the man who shouts. He would decode the mask, uncover the guilt, and use it as leverage. Because in a world of masks, the quiet man who owns the truth is untouchable. And the one who has mastered himself is the one who rules others. You've heard it before. I'm always happy. I never need help. I'm always right. At first it sounds powerful, absolute, untouchable. But Machiavelli would sneer, distrust absolutes. Exaggeration is not strength. It is camouflage. It is weakness screaming for cover. The naive mistake exaggeration for power. But it is only theater, a mask worn by someone terrified that the opposite is true. Machiavelli counseled princes to avoid extremes, to govern with balance. Why? Because extremes betray instability, and instability invites collapse. A ruler who declares, "My people will always love me," is already on the path to rebellion. A prince who insists, "I will never fail," is already crafting the script of his downfall. Look around your world. The boss who says, "I never make mistakes," is choking on the terror of being seen as incompetent. The friend who says, "I'm always happy," is begging you not to see their misery. The one who brags, "I never need help," is terrified of dependence. Exaggeration is theater. Insecurity is the hidden script, and once you learn to decode it, every sentence becomes intelligence. So how do you use this? Translate every absolute into fear. Always means sometimes not. Never means sometimes yes. The more someone repeats the same exaggeration, the more fragile that part of them is. Each repetition is a crack in the armor. Each crack is leverage. And what about you? If you shout with absolutes, you advertise weakness. The man who screams, "I never fall," is fragile. The man who says, "I fall but I rise again," is unbreakable. Machiavelli would never trust extremes. He would decode them, exploit them, because insecurity, once revealed, is the purest form of leverage. So remember this maxim. Every always hides a fear of sometimes. The louder the claim, the deeper the insecurity. And Machiavelli would never be blinded by noise. He would hunt the silence beneath it. Because that silence, that is where truth lives. And the man who masters truth within himself gains the power to dominate the illusions of others. Look closely at the ones who try to control everything. The boss who must approve every email. The partner who dictates every move. At first you think, this is strength. This is power. But Machiavelli would whisper, do not be fooled by the grip of control, because the tighter someone clutches the external world, the more chaos consumes them within. What looks like dominance is actually slavery. Slavery to their own terror of uncertainty. You think the micromanager is strong. You think the controlling partner is secure. But in truth, they are fragile. They cannot bend. And what cannot bend will break. Machiavelli knew this. He urged rulers to adapt to fortune, to bend with the storm. Because the prince obsessed with controlling every detail is not wise. He is weak. His tyranny is not a display of order, but a confession of inner disorder.
Hey guys, we're Wisdom, based in Abu Dhabi. We use AI tools to make these concepts come to life, but it's our amazing team who goes deep, breaking down powerful philosophical ideas and showing how they really apply in everyday life. We hope you enjoyed today's content.
Look around you. That boss who cannot delegate? He doesn't trust himself, so he trusts no one. That friend who demands loyalty at every turn? They are already haunted by betrayal. That partner who controls every step you take? Inside, they are consumed by fear of abandonment. Control is not strength. It is panic, dressed in armor, and the armor always cracks. So how do you see through it? Machiavelli would read control as confession of fear. He would test their rigidity, a small contradiction, a minor delay, a subtle challenge, and instantly the mask would slip, revealing the storm raging underneath. And what about you? Do you cling to control? Do you tighten your grip when life feels uncertain? Machiavelli would tell you this. Let go. Not to surrender, but to sharpen resilience. Because real strength is not in strangling the world into submission. Real strength is in adapting to chaos, bending without breaking, mastering uncertainty rather than denying it. So remember this maxim: the strongest grip hides the weakest hand. Those who must control everything control nothing, and Machiavelli would never fear their grip. He would exploit their chaos. Because in the end, the one who adapts rules the storm. The one who clutches shatters. Ignore the stage. Look at the silence. Do not be dazzled by the actor's smile. Do not be fooled by the booming voice. The show is not the truth. The silence between the acts is where the truth hides. The more someone performs for applause, the emptier they feel without it. Understand this. Real power does not beg for validation. Only weakness does. Applause is oxygen for the hollow. The stronger man breathes alone. But here is your mistake. You are seduced by showmen. You mistake performance for substance. You applaud the loud voice. You admire the flashy gesture. And what you don't see, what you refuse to see, is the vacuum inside them. The louder the performance, the hollower the soul. You feed on illusions because you lack the discipline to taste reality. That is your weakness, and it is theirs. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He wrote, "Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality." He knew the mob loves the mask more than the man. So what do the weak do? They live on masks. They survive on appearances because their reality is too thin, too fragile, too pathetic to stand on its own. The stronger man does not need theater. He does not beg for applause. His silence commands more than their shouts ever could. Look around you, the influencer projecting endless happiness online. She posts joy because she cannot endure her despair in private. The colleague bragging in every meeting, his boasts are the smokescreen hiding his mediocrity. The friend who never stops performing loyalty, generosity, strength. They scream these roles because deep down they know they are false. Performance is always compensation, and compensation always signals weakness. So what would Machiavelli do? He would never be seduced by the stage. He would interrogate the silence. He would study what remains when the spotlight dies. He would measure men not by what they parade in public, but by what they sustain in private. He would resist the urge to perform himself because performance is surrender. To need applause is to kneel before the crowd. Instead, he would anchor in reality. He would cultivate substance over spectacle, and he would trust consistency, not theater. Actions that endure quietly will always outlast the loudest performance. Remember this. Performance is the mask. Emptiness is the face beneath. Do not clap for the show, exploit the void. Because in a world addicted to applause, the one who does not perform controls the stage. Trace belief back to its scar. Do not be fooled by polished arguments. Do not be seduced by grand philosophies. Scratch the surface, and you will not find wisdom. you will find wounds. What people call worldview is rarely reason. It is pain, hardened into dogma. Old wounds masquerading as eternal truths. Understand this. Most beliefs are not the offspring of thought, but the children of scars. And here lies your weakness. You waste time arguing with beliefs. You swing at the mask while ignoring the wound beneath. You think you are debating logic, but logic never wrote those words. Pain did. The cynic, the pessimist, the zealot. They are not reasoning with you, they are bleeding on you. And you, blind and naive, argue with scars. Machiavelli knew this. He argued that fortune shapes half of human life. But fortune is not always kind. Fortune often teaches through pain, and pain, more than reason, is the great tutor of conviction. A betrayal writes doctrine faster than any philosopher's pen. A humiliation scars deeper than any lecture. This is why men cling to their beliefs like armor, because those beliefs are stitched from their wounds. Look around you. The cynic who insists love is a lie speaks not from insight, but from betrayal. The one who declares people are selfish speaks not from reason, but from abandonment. The man who preaches money is evil is not wise. He is bitter at being poor. Their pain is their scripture. Their wounds are their prophets. So what would Machiavelli do? He would never debate scars. He would study them. He would trace the wound back to its origin, and he would wield that knowledge like a blade. When confronting belief, he would ask, what scar created this? He would not waste time trying to reason with scar tissue. He would use it as intelligence. He would see their weakness, their fear, their wound, and he would press on it when it served his purpose. And in himself, he would be ruthless. He would interrogate every belief until he saw the scar behind it. He would refuse to let pain become dogma. He would master the wound before the wound mastered him. Every belief is a wound clothed in reason. The masses cling to their scars. The prince studies them. Because in the theater of power, pain is not just suffering, pain is information, and the man who can read wounds controls the wounded. Judge power by how it bends downward. Do not be blinded by flattery given upward. That is theater. That is survival. If you want the truth of a man, watch how he treats those who cannot strike back. Character is not revealed in how someone treats the mighty. That is strategy. Character is revealed in how they treat the powerless. That is truth. The mask stays on for kings. The mask slips for servants. And here is your folly. You are dazzled by charm shown to superiors. You swoon at politeness to clients, to bosses, to the powerful. Meanwhile, you ignore the venom poured on waiters, the contempt spat at interns, the cruelty delivered to strangers who hold no advantage. But these moments, the ones you dismiss, are the windows into the true soul. You judge the mask. You never see the man beneath. Machiavelli knew better. He advised rulers to avoid hatred from the masses, for it is not the elite who decide survival. It is the crowd, the mob, the many. The way a prince treats the weak determines the strength of his reign. He may deceive the powerful, but if he crushes the powerless carelessly, he plants the seeds of his own destruction. Look around you. The partner kind to you, but cruel to waiters. Their mask of love is already cracking. The boss charming to clients, but cold to interns. His empire is built on fear, not loyalty. The politician who smiles for cameras but sneers at ordinary citizens, his downfall is only a matter of time. Every cruelty downward is a confession. Every kindness upward is a performance. So what would Machiavelli do? He would always watch behavior toward the powerless. He would make this his truest barometer of integrity, reliability, and danger. He would never trust the man who flatters upward but sneers downward, because at that man is ruled by cowardice, not strength. And he would demand the same scrutiny of himself. He would study how he acts when no advantage is at stake, because that is when power either corrodes or hardens. True mastery is not only in commanding the strong, but in governing the weak without breeding hatred. Respect shown upward is strategy. Respect shown downward is truth. Machiavelli would never ignore this test. He would watch the weak because they are the mirrors of power. And the prince who understands this does not just read men, he rules them.
Thanks for spending time in this. If this sparked a new way of thinking, hit like and subscribe to keep the ideas flowing. And don't forget, check the description for the links to the resources and the original books we used today. We'll see you in the next one.